Yeah. Okay, so it is April 26th. This is kind of an odd scheduled time for our lab meeting, but here we go. It's just me and Rob today, but hopefully other people will contribute their reports offline. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Actually, Rob, can you see my screen? Probably not.
I see you.
Well, now.
Yep.
All right. So, first thing, I'll send an announcement out to Slack, but there's a remote sensing talk on Monday that everybody should go to. There's also a pretty cool funding opportunity that I ran across this week. So this was AI for Good. This was linked off of my Windows login screen, so good job, Microsoft. They've got some interesting AI applications that I think would work well with some of the stuff that we do. So that is definitely worth exploring. Last week, my goals were to work on the website and work on geotagging images. I did neither of those because on Friday, I got tapped to do a drone scan of a tornado path. So there was a tornado that went through kind of southeast of here, maybe 70 miles, near, what is the town? Rocky Mount. It's a little bit south of Rocky Mount, Virginia. This is a track pulled from this NOAA's storm damage thing. So the tornado rolled through last Friday. That would be the 19th. And so on the 20th, I was out scanning this thing with our lab drone. So the wider project is to kind of be able to image these things, and then so we're partnered with the National Weather Service office, and the idea is to try to use machine learning to classify the damage. And so to do that, we're going to have to collect a lot of photographs of damage and not damage, and hopefully with that we can generate a pretty good model. One of the nice things about this is that we kind of go in after the fact, or that's what I did this time, which means that the weather service people kind of make contact with everybody. They tell them that there's going to be a drone flying later. Most people are pretty cool with that. And local law enforcement is also involved, so that makes that a little bit easier. This is an example of one of the images. So you can see the damage pretty clearly. This is just this is one photograph of a few hundred that I took that day. But pretty easy to see the damage. I won't play the video, but there are 8 videos that I posted to Slack, some of them better than others. Site 3, Flight 2 of 2 is probably the best one. And the cool thing about this trip was that it was the first time I got to really fly for an extended period of time with the DJI flight goggles, or the VR goggles. There's a couple of different modes for this. You can actually fly with it. I didn't do that. I just flew controlling the gimbal. So your head movements essentially control where the gimbal looks while you're flying it with the sticks. That was super fun, and I liked it a lot.
Is that like a stereo camera on the drone, or is it just a single camera?
Single camera, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it looks so
really
real.
Cool,
it looks totally real when you're in the when you're in it. I mean, you really do feel like you're there. And it was smooth, and there wasn't any lag. Like, it was really nicely polished. Because I kind of flew with this thing, I didn't fly in kind of a normal survey pattern, which is what I usually would do. I'd usually program a flight path, and it would make sure everything got surveyed, and it would point the camera down. So when we tried to reconstruct the images with Pix4D, that didn't work as well as I would like. So I'm probably going to refly it as soon as classes are out. This kind of brought up whether it's better to do this with a fixed wing or a quadcopter. Our longest flight time was 20 minutes, and I had gotten down to, I think, 11% battery when I did that. It was a pretty windy day. And yeah, I don't know. That was, so 20 minutes isn't really a lot of flight time. On the other, it did allow us to sort of park and kind of look around and do some interesting things. The fixed wing would have been better, but there were places where it would be hard to launch. So I think this kind of trade-off between fixed wing and quadcopter, I don't think there's any real answer for. I did end up buying 3 more batteries and a charger, so hopefully we can get a little bit. It took an hour and 40 minutes to get home, so it's kind of a lot of travel time. So you don't want to, you want to make the most of the time that you're there. So that'll bring us up to 7 batteries, which is a lot. This is an example. I tried to do some of the reconstruction with the video. So this was 4 frames per second. It totally sucked. You can see that's garbage. I think if we had done what I did last week, which is to really try to do a better job of geotagging, combining the flight log with the frame extraction, in other words, geolocating those images, plus some additional processing, I think it would probably work better, but we'll find out next week if I get some time to work on that code. The other idea that I had was the drone can take essentially like a 360-degree photo, individual photos, and then stitch them together to make a photosphere. I think that would be a cool way. So I think that the students that I had along as visual observers, they all got to try on the DJI goggles. They all had a lot of fun kind of looking around and like surveying the damage. But I got to thinking we could generate those photospheres and then you could just look at them with Google Cardboard. So for $15, you can kind of get most of the experience. So for bringing these things back to the classroom and kind of letting people experience them, I think getting some Google Cardboards and letting people try it out would be cool. I played around with Sketchfab as a way to share, in this case, point clouds. It was okay. I think you need to pay money to be able to do this for real. So probably the Poetry stuff that Hudson is working on is going to be better. But I know Earl was interested in this and maybe Shapeways. So I think that's a good future work. So one of the things that I want to do for next week is to figure out the best way to kind of post photospheres and share them out. So I was able to use the Theta Ryko application for our 360-degree camera with Google Cardboard, but ideally we would be able to post these to the lab website and anybody could look at them with an Oculus or a Cardboard. I'm sure that's possible. It's just, go ahead.
Yeah, you should be able to do that in A-Frame.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I believe so. That's like kind of built into A-Frame. They have a thing where you can display photospheres or whatever.
And does it work with Cardboard?
Most likely, yes. It works with any kind of VR thing.
Oh. Well,
yeah, like.
Okay. I'll take a look. Cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. I will look at that. Okay. I make a note. A-Frame. So goals for next week, that plus the website and then the georeferencing photos thing, which is a holdover. Both of those holdovers from last week. So that's it for me. Pretty quick one.
Okay.
A-Frame. Good suggestion.
Yeah. I didn't look too far into it, like you were saying, but that was one thing I did notice when I was playing around with it is they have like a thing built in, like you have a tag that's like a sphere or a frame something.
Sweet.
And then you have a reference to the image, and then it just makes it right there.
Oh,
and then
nice.
It's just there. So all you have to have is an HTML file, the JavaScript A-Frame, the A-Frame JavaScript file, and then the image file, and it works apparently. Okay. I didn't look too far into it, but one tutorial I saw was describing that.
Okay, cool. I wonder. So I know you added some stuff for ROS on the site wiki.
Yeah.
You want to can you add an A-Frame page? Can you add pages?
I'm guessing I can edit pages, so I'm guessing I can add.
Probably. Yeah. Why don't you make a page for A-Frame?
Okay.
You and Hudson can edit that together.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. You're up.
Okay. Hold on a second. Screen share. Sorry, my allergies have been really bad.
Everybody's having a bad year. I just heard that the allergy high score is 12. Did you know that?
What does that mean?
It's like when they tell you how many allergens are in the air or how bad of a day it is for allergies, like 12 is the worst day. So weird.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only 3 slides, this and 2 more, so.
Okay. Well,
weekly report.
we're a third of the way done already.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the weekly report. So yeah, I got the ROS on the Windows subsystem for Linux install guide. I got that page up, as you saw. Yeah, I think you moved some stuff around on it.
Yeah,
I
just moved the install instructions for WSL to WSL. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. So it's not such a giant guide. I still need to fix that error with RViz. I believe it to be just a simple package not installed. Like I think I forgot. I think I was having that issue when I was doing it, and I just saw some random guide or like Googled it, and it said, "Oh yeah, you need to install the RViz package," and I forgot to add that to the wiki. So I think that's all that is. I'll definitely look into that this weekend or next week.
Okay.
I also want to update that ROS install guide because right now it's just like 6 commands in a row. And I don't really describe what each one does. Like the first 3 have to do with updating your package manager to see the ROS packages, and then like the next 2 are installing ROS and just giving it more detail so you're not just blindly typing in commands and then one thing breaks and then you're.
That's a good idea. Then people kind of learn as they go.
Yeah. So it's not so monolithic, and then one small thing breaks and you're just SOL at that point.
So one of the questions that I had was about versions. Maybe are you going to get to the versions thing?
Yeah. So I forgot what I did when I first installed it. I'll probably go on my laptop. I haven't done this WSL thing on my laptop yet, so I'll probably run through it again on here. I'm pretty sure there's 3 versions or 3 things on the store that you can download. It's just Ubuntu 16.04, and then Ubuntu 18.04. I think I just installed the one that doesn't say a version, so I'm guessing that's the latest, like, non-long-term support. But I'll definitely take a look into that.
Okay, so on that front, I think the last time I tried to do an install of ROS on WSL, I couldn't get it running on 18. My preference would be, because I think the even numbers are, I forget, what do they call, like, what do they call those releases? Like
long-term support?
Yeah. So I think in that case, for that reason, it would be good to stick to 18 if we can.
Okay.
And then try to install ROS, whatever works on 18, just so we have some longevity.
Okay. Do you have anything to add?
Okay. Just so when you're making the revisions and you try it on your laptop, try it with Ubuntu 18.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that.
Okay.
That's it for this page. I'm still reading through the ROS tutorials. This week was kind of busy for me, so I didn't really read through them all that much. I'm still continuing the tutorials on their website.
Okay.
I want to read through the beginning ones, get a good idea of it, and then intermediate ones are just sort of like more advanced stuff that I don't think I really need to dive into. But they also have tutorials for some of the packages, like for RViz specifically, and then a few other things that I'll run through. And I also want to start reading through the Getting Started too this week, at least.
Okay. Yeah, the key packages are Cartographer. There's one other SLAM package that I'll send you that I'm interested in. And then the other one is anything that has to do with the Intel RealSense.
Okay.
And
What about the Velodyne or Velodyne?
yeah, the Velodyne, yeah, but that's going to be covered under the Google's Cartographer and their SLAM, this other SLAM algorithm.
Okay.
So those two are going to be Velodyne. And then there's another one for the Intel RealSense. So I'll have to figure out a way to get you an Intel RealSense to practice on if we get that far.
Okay.
Which we should.
Is that like a development board, like a Raspberry Pi or something?
No, it's like it's this guy.
Oh, hold up, I can't see it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty small. It's got a little like USB-C port on the side.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. I think this is going to be a good low cost. What I'm hoping to do is use it for interior modeling. Maybe it'll work outside, but mostly I care about getting it to work to make interior maps.
Okay.
Whereas the Velodyne probably mostly exterior, but potentially also interior.
Yeah. Is the Velodyne for like LiDAR stuff?
Yep.
Okay. There was actually one time when I was at Argonne, they were doing something else, and the lab supervisors brought in it was like a more generic like stereo camera, and I was able to get that working. So
good. Yeah. The Intel RealSense, we should be able to use it to power an AR sandbox instead of relying on the Kinect. So I have a Kinect, but I'd love to be able to switch over. Hey, Hudson. That's right. We're just kind of finishing up.
Yeah, that should be able to be done. If I remember, I don't know if it's been updated since I was playing with it. But it was all in C++, and it was using a bunch of libraries that were like specific to the Kinect, if I remember. So
yeah,
it had to like figure out how to convert it more.
Yeah, I think Kralos has done some effort on getting I think it's sort of compatible. So if we kind of comb through the forums, I think there's a way to get it to work.
Okay.
Hudson just walked in the door. I don't know if you can't really see him.
Hello.
Hey.
Did you have a?
Yeah, I posted some slides. So I wasn't able to get any voiceover. So that was.
You want to just go through them now?
Yeah, sure.
Feeling any better?
I'm still feel like my head is like a pimple. I'm just kind of need
some good visual imagery right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my 3 slides, so I'm done with my slides.
Cool. Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
I'm like talking up green stuff.
Sorry, man. The coolest thing I did, you can go back and watch the video if you want. The coolest thing I did was I bought a Google Cardboard.
Oh, nice.
And I looked at some of our 3D 60-degree photos, and it was cool. And Rob says we can use A-Frame to share photospheres. So the plan would be to do.
A-Frame is really intuitive.
I'm gonna
for when I've looked at it.
I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna play with that this weekend.
Yeah.
But if we can get some of these, like make a photosphere with the drone from the tornado damage that I surveyed, and then students in meteorology can surround it. I think that'd be a really powerful demo.
Yeah. Especially with Google Cardboard, where it's like you can get one for like
$15. Oh, it was so cool. Slack channel.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, they're like entity component diagram or network they've made is like super powerful.
Cool.
So it's
I'm gonna spend an hour on that this weekend and get myself up to speed.
I think if you're tenacious enough with A-Frame, you can probably make like a little mini tornado overlaid on top of where it would be
Oh
in the
yeah.
image, if you're crazy enough.
I saw some. I posted it on my like LinkedIn, but I saw this virtual reality capture that the Weather Channel's using. I like immediately like started following the guy that's like the head of design.
Oh yeah.
That made it. It was sea level rise,
Okay.
and it was like they were teleporting from place to place. Like they were simulating sea level rise
Yeah.
for 3 years and stuff like that. It was like they were in Norfolk, and like you could tell like areas of inundation. Like it looked really, really good.
Can you send a link to the Slack channel?
Yeah.
Check it out. Okay, I gotta share my screen.
Yeah, so just quick little update stuff, because most of the time was making sure I was rested.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was working with different point cloud plugins within Unity and Unreal. So
I don't see your screen.
Oh.
There's different like open source ones that people have kind of put together as far as like creating renderers for the data itself. So a lot of it is pretty intensive depending on the size of the point cloud. Many kind of suggest like 5 to 10 million points in regards to making sure that it's not overwhelming the system. But yeah, I mean, I just screen recorded, screen captured some video. I didn't even like edit it, so it's like it might be some back and forth of whatever. But yeah, it was kind of like a pre-configurer importer, so you won't be able to see the point cloud until you actually press play on the device. But when I was in the device, there was a head-mounted display. I don't know if it was the camera, just like camera positioning or whatever. Oh, it's got my voice in there. I didn't realize that. So you can see there's points of the point cloud there. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's based off occlusion or whatever like that, but there's it's like a manuscript. It's kind of like the default point cloud that they put in there. But I was messing with the like camera positioning and things like that, and I still was getting some issues with it. But the points are there. I don't know if it's just the distance between each point is just that wide, but that's kind of like that side profile view of it and what it's supposed to look like. But yeah, I was just kind of mapping out the framework for how OpenGL kind of works with the GPU to process all of that and have a solid understanding of how it's deciding to render each bit of it.
Okay.
But yeah, and then Unreal had a kind of more, which is interesting. Unreal is generally the one that's more touchy or less user friendly, but it had a more developed plugin, I guess, in regards to using SteamVR, as well as a point cloud importer that I just sourced from somebody that had done it before. And so the SteamVR plugin allows for you to set like prefabs and cameras throughout the scene, basically for the head-mounted display, as well as functionality for controllers and mapping all that kind of stuff. And I was able to bring that last data set, the tree, in there. But the thing is with these plugins, a lot of them have their own kind of proprietary formats or ways that they want the data in. So the one in Unity was like a .off file, which, yeah, I couldn't figure out how to export to that format in order to get it. But this one took the .txt format and passed it the XYZ and then the RGB values, and it was able to render it.
So one of the things to pay attention to early on is going to be paying attention to the classification.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're making initial forays here, but I didn't look. But I think that the VT quad scan should have been classified.
So yeah, I'm trying to like, I can't exactly remember if it was. I was looking at it. I think I looked at a preview of it, like just a header file, the first 10 points.
Yeah.
But all I could see was like, I could see the XYZ RGB, and then there was another field, but I wasn't sure if that was classification or not.
Yeah, let's take a look after the meeting, and we can see, because that's just a setting in Pix4D for me to classify it, and that's going to be good because that's their quote machine learning classifier.
Yeah.
So you'll see how bad it is. You'll start to get a sense of, what the scale of the problem is, because you'll see things that are classified as buildings. The building classification, the ground classification is okay, not great. So you can start to get a handle on that part of the problem too.
And then I did some additional stuff that I hadn't put in here, but I was looking more at Poetry and their implementation of like different things in regards to how they allow you to classify. So you basically just pass it the attribute that holds the classification information when you create the executable file.
Yeah.
That eventually makes the HTML and the page itself. So you pass that to it, and then I guess it creates its own little framework to create the filters for each one. So whichever one it makes, it uses the LAS 1.4 or something like that schema in order to classify. So it's like 0 through 14 based off of that.
Okay.
And then, yeah, this one was kind of a lot of the same, just in regards to being in the scene, didn't have any interaction or anything like that. I don't know why I put 2 there, basically the same thing. But yeah, just kind of being able to visualize it. The tracking was being a little finicky when I was messing with it, so it was.
So one of the things that I was noticing when I was doing stuff like Shapeways, when you load up a Shapeways model, wait, was it Shapeways? What's the other thing? Shapeways, Sketchfab. That's what those are. Okay. Can you see the screen, Rob, or are we still on the PowerPoint? I created a model. I uploaded a piece of a LiDAR model. Oh, I did. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Can you see this, Rob?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Seeing it loading.
Yeah, it's exciting. So they don't with just a free account. I was really limited on the number of it was like 20 megabytes or something. Yeah, so I couldn't upload it very thick. But the thing that I like is that it just has a button here. It's like view in VR. Like,
interesting.
How have you seen any options with that with either A-Frame or Poetry or?
So Poetry is like in their documentation on GitHub. I guess the way they've listed it is like still in development for WebVR.
Okay.
A lot of it is they're piggybacking off of the A-Frame documentation and all that kind of work.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically the same thing. It's just having that dialogue button at the bottom, view in VR, and then renders the stereoscopic display depending on your device.
Cool. Does A-Frame do that then?
Yeah.
It does. Okay. Cool.
So
clearly I need to play with A-Frame more. I'll do that this weekend.
Yeah, they say that you can make a WebVR experience just by like one line of code. So it's like you instantiate the cube, or you set the heights and all that kind of stuff, and using their, I guess, background, it makes it
cool. For the scan that we did of the quad, we should isolate like a little section around one of the buildings, and then that'll have a good, some trees, the building, some stuff, just a little toy that we can, because 400 million points is too many, and I'd rather have it dense, kind of dense, I mean, if we think about LiDAR, LiDAR is what, 5 to 15 points per square meter.
So what I was looking at though is that they were making the point budget a lot bigger than what was, I guess, allocated. Because the point budget, what I've seen on Poetry, is like 10 million, I guess, for the whole scene. But when they start implementing like Entwine and things like that, their point budget was way above it. It was terabytes of data.
Wow.
So I mean, that was all like just handled on their end.
Okay.
But
yeah, I'll have to make sure that I get a good understanding of how that relationship works, because I don't totally understand that. But it's I mean, I think starting with a smaller example, knowing that we can probably extend that budget out,
Yeah.
But I'd rather look at something more densely and then scale out spatially rather than something sparse. But we could go either way. I mean, I think that's going to be the interesting thing, is like LiDAR classification, photogrammetric classification are two sort of different problems. Photogrammetry is messier, but there's more data, it's denser. So it'll be interesting to kind of compare. Hopefully we get to the point where we can kind of, there's a LiDAR point cloud, like classify that, other things.
It was a cool implementation of the, I guess, Poetry that I used. They were using SFM stuff function. It's structure function, yeah. But yeah, it was just, they had different points that they used navigating around the point cloud, and then they had the photo capture, and then from there we're able to just like it would be if you were looking at the cloud. I can post a link to it, but
yeah. And then last thing I hate to ask, proposal.
I've got it. I just need to ship it your way.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
It's not in a formatted way or anything like that. I think it is, but
That's right. Tell me what you got.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Pretty good lab day.
Yeah.
We were at the OGIS symposium today. What is it again? Some organization. I just gave a talk there.
It is the Office of GIS and Remote Sensing.
Yeah. So that was a good little symposium today. Ate up a few hours, but it was a good time.
Yeah, how'd your talk go?
Meh, I don't know. It was I think it was a little too researchy. I think it needed to be more. And I felt awkward about it because like everything else, I mean, it was a bit of a hodgepodge, kind of more idea talks, I don't know. Did you get to see any of the talks?
No.
So I don't know. Like it was a research talk. It probably should have been more of a lecture style, something bigger picture, fewer details. But was what it was. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I wanted to see Seth Peary's thing, so I've talked with him a couple times, but
yeah, there wasn't a heck of a lot there. Basically, he's now allocating 1,000 GIS credits to everybody, and you can ask for more if you want them instead of 50. So I think the take-home message was don't worry if you got to do stuff that eats credits, just eat credits.
I was eating credits like nothing, and they were like, "No, we have too much." I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. He doesn't seem to care. I think all they want to do is like prevent some kind of runaway train where you accidentally burn through 100,000 credits because you didn't know what you were doing. So I think he's even willing to spend them. I think he just wants to know that they're being spent on purpose.
Yeah. Kind of geocoding or like running analysis countrywide something.
Yeah, well,
to burn that much.
I know Josh Starner's stuff is kind of maybe credit intensive, and Molly has a big pile of geocodes.
Yeah.
I think if they knew that they didn't have to worry about it, they would be okay. Okay, so one of the things can you do for, so I had, Rob's also he's working on this robot operating system stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Rob was going to create a wiki page for A-Frame. And
Yep.
you can both collectively edit some use cases and some simple stuff.
Just like baseline tutorial, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just like, quick, you can have a couple of like references of like, here's a couple of tutorials, but like what do lab members need to know to kind of get up to speed really quickly. There's a lot of other wiki pages up there. Rob just posted one for ROS, which is it was really nicely done, Rob, on that ROS page.
Thank you.
Little code snippets in there. It looks good. I've never even done code snippets on those wikis, so I learned something.
Could you post the link to the wiki in the Slack or?
Yeah, it's you know where the GitHub repository is? So it's github.com/me/Neil. And then it's /wiki off of that, but I'll post some. When I get the web page working, my hope is to have a lot of links that's the kind of one, that'll be the one-stop shop. There'll be a members, you'll have a lab login for that, but then once you log into that, it'll link to Slack, and it'll link to
Neil Pi or just Neil?
Just Neil. Neil Pi is my package.
Okay.
I think that's it. And I'll poke around a little bit with A-Frame too over the weekend, so I'm not totally ignorant. I know enough to know what it is, but I haven't used it. So I don't understand anything until I do it myself. That's how I work.
Makes sense.
I don't know how anybody else does it. Other people seem to be able to hear about things, but
Take people's word for it.
if I haven't done it myself, then I don't really know what it is. Alrighty, Rob, can you hang around a little bit to talk ROS? Not on the video.
Sure.
You busy?
That works.
Okay. All right, that's it for lab day. Thanks, everybody.